from the pages of Cameron Pasha's Patreon. The Nielsen ratings are in. Andor Week 2 rises to number 6 in Nielsen ratings. Andor continues to perform well in the Nielsen ratings, rising 6 in Week 2 after debuting at number 10 last week. Why is this a big deal?
Well, I mean, it's what I said in the next paragraph. I mean, the ratings are always a product of last week, the week before. I know that, for example, most perfect example that I went through was when I was a producer on the Bionic Woman remake of, on NBC, and we had massive ratings because everyone loved the Bionic Woman with Jamie Summers, right? We had massive ratings the first week, right, of the pilot. We had something like 16 million viewers, which you don't get in network TV anymore, right? 16 million, that's like MASH, right? I mean, you don't get that anymore. And we had 16 million viewers. And the next week we had 8 million viewers because people didn't like the pilot. And that spoke for itself. And then the week after that, we had 4 million viewers. It got worse and worse, right? And that said, people weren't responding. This was surprising to me because I was concerned because I've stated my opinion that the first 3 episodes of Andor are the weakest of the season and I think are unnecessary. I don't think you could just cut them out. It doesn't change the storyline in any way, shape, or form. In fact, improves it. And I was concerned that those first 3 episodes, people would tune out and say, what is this crap? I don't want to watch this. But they didn't. They came back in larger numbers. It went from number 10 the week before, the premiere week, to number 6 this next week, which means a lot more people are hearing from this in word of mouth. A lot of people apparently like those first 3 episodes. And if that's the case, they're going to really like the next 3 episodes. So now that we've seen this surprising thing from 10 to 6, from I thought mediocre episodes to good episodes, I would expect that this should at least remain 6 or get better next week because the next 3 episodes were really good, right? You're like, I want to watch this show now, right? And so I think this thing is, it's an upward trend at this point.
Fletcher, what are your thoughts on this? Let me read a little bit more of this. It's pretty short. In Hollywood, we always say that it's next week's ratings that tell us the truth about how people react to the show. The fact that these ratings have gone up is great news, meaning positive word of mouth. Word of mouth has spread, Fletcher, on this show, which says a lot because it was really bad word of mouth on a lot of Star Wars television shows. What are your thoughts there, Fletch?
Yeah, it did receive like a lot of. So it was interesting because they had like a complete. It's the best show ever, and you had it's the worst show ever, kind of competing for the social media eye. And
what do you mean?
So it was very interesting because it had a lot of people saying this is ridiculous, this is woke Star Wars, worst Star Wars show, a mess, all this kind of stuff. And then you had other people just saying this is the best. Finally, we get adult Star Wars. And all this, like high praise on it. So it was interesting because even like in certain circles where usually something is very lock and step, you did had those discussions where certain people liked this, certain people still hated it. So it was an interesting, microcosm of complete opposite. There wasn't like somebody that was like, yeah, it's just right? It was either it was really good or it was really bad.
Gotcha. Okay. This really doesn't happen a lot for kind of something that really no one saw the first season to have this life and now this really strong interest. This reminds me of the old days of television where they would give a show a couple of seasons to find its legs, like the X-Files. Or even Cheers. This is really cool. And it's over with because it goes into Rogue One. And now the Rogue One movie has been charting. But this is rather, I would say, great news for Star Wars, Cameron. This is a success. Now, live action, you can grow on that. The next live action you have is a movie in the movie theaters, man, in less than a year. What are your thoughts, Cameron?
Yeah, I mean, this is great for Star Wars and is a real problem for the Star Wars is dead crowd. It don't look dead to the general public, This looks like people are liking this, right? So you're gonna have to deal with that, and that's a good thing for those of us that like Star Wars, that like this world, that want to see good stuff. That not everything is terrible inherently, because George Lucas didn't do it, and heck, half you guys who didn't even like what George Lucas did after the original. So come on. So this is making me happy, and it also supports. I had reported on my Patreon about 6 months ago that from my source inside of Disney/Lucasfilm that. Jon Favreau's plan was to create 2 tiers of storytelling in Star Wars. One that was going to be a youth and children oriented, like Skeleton Key, and one that was going to be more adult oriented, like Andor. Now he had that plan before Andor premiered, so he obviously, as a powerful figure within the company, he had seen enough of the footage of Andor to know what they have, and he's a good filmmaker. He knows good storytelling. This is good storytelling for the most part, really good storytelling. So he knows how to make stuff that's the general public wants. He's like, all right, Gilroy, I think this is going to help us, right? Good, thank you for doing it. So the fact that he was already planning an Andor vibe adult tranche of Star Wars means that he liked what he saw before the ratings. Now you've got that it's a success, and the people there's again the general public. The buzz suggests it's rising. Whatever people on our beloved YouTube may be saying, the public is doing what they want to do, right? Which is the disconnect I always warned these guys was going to happen. You keep going down one thing, the public go another way. It's not going to end up well for you. So good luck to them. So, this is going to strengthen, I think, adult storytelling tranche that Favreau wants to do because there's clearly a market for that. I'm part of that market. I want to see more of this stuff.
I think also as well, I think this is going to be studied because of how they dropped the episodes, how the storytelling was laid out. This was pretty epic because you basically got, what was it, 4 mini movies? And for me, the last, you could say for sure the last 6, which was the last 2 mini movies, were just absolutely riveting, man. And now you're seeing these kind of strategic drops of seasons. Cobra Kai did that last year because if you just do a dump, then after that initial adrenaline take of the show, no one's talking about it. Cobra Kai did it. I think they stretched it a little too long, whereas now Wednesday is going to be doing a dump of so many episodes in September, and then in a few weeks later, in August, and then in a few weeks later in September. But the way these guys did it, this is something to study, Cameron.
Yeah, it was an experiment, and it worked. Yeah, it worked, right? And they essentially said they made 4 movies, so maybe you can justify the large price tag for this. They made 4 feature films in Star Wars. A couple $100 million is justifiable for that, right?